Hey folks, Glismall Designs here. This is part 5 of the HK 132nd scale B25B Mitchell build. So we've now officially started some major work to the internals of the plane, and as you can see, the cockpit section is not quite done, but I want to add more detail to it. I want to add some parachutes to it, and maybe some headsets, and whatever else that the crew might have taken with them on their way to Japan. Now, obviously, each crew probably had something different with them. And just to make it official, we are doing plane number 1. So Colonel Doolittle and Lieutenant Cole's plane. So that is what we're doing. So there you go. Plane number 1 is what we are doing. So that mystery is now out of the bag, and more mysteries yet to be revealed as the build continues. So I'm working with Mr. Briscoe on this one. So I'm just trying to figure out what they might have taken with them. So we do have options here. I can add MREs. I can add, obviously, I got cigarette packages, Lucky Strikes. Now, obviously, it seems like I use Lucky Strikes in pretty much every build that I do, whether it be B-17s, tanks. It seems like it's a trademark of mine. So I can add that. Now, here's the parachutes right there. So I can add parachutes to the plane. Maybe put them in the back or behind the seats. I can have them hanging. There's the Mae Wests that they used to call them. So there is Colonel Doolittle's vest, sitting on the seat, and Lieutenant Cole's vest sitting on the seat. And that's the set right there. Now I'm going to use one more. One more will go in the nose for the Bombardier. That's a cool little set. Now, for the cockpit section, I kind of used a combination of the Edwards sets, the kit set, and obviously got the laser cut seat belts, and then the aftermarket sets. Obviously, I just talked about with the parachutes that'll come into play, and the life vests, things like that, and then scratch building things. I find that if you use the combination of everything I just said, you're gonna produce a nice cockpit. Now I'll just take a little tour here before I talk about it, because if you just use all Edward or all of one thing, I think I don't think you're going to get the result you want. Now that's just my opinion, okay? I find that the Edward, like the throttles and stuff like that, are really thin, and they scrape easy for one, and I don't think you get the end result. There we go. It's just a little tour. Obviously, more detail will come onto here. But the Edward instrument panel, like right here, instrument panel, and that little set right there. Sorry about the lighting. It's a real dark day here. It's cloudy. They didn't make an appointment for the sun today, so. But like the instrument panel, let's see if I can get better lighting here. The instrument panel and such is very, very nice, and that little section there is really, really nice. But like the throttle and stuff with Edward, I just find them too thin, and there's just not enough detail on them. But the Edward set for this section right here is really nice. So that's what I used, and then I used the kit parts for the throttles and the different levers. Those were really nice. And then the laser cut fabric seat belts, those are really nice to use. As you can see, I got them on. Takes a long time to do, and then I weathered them up a bit, and then there you go, there's the end result there. And then of course I got the life vests on. Now you're probably wondering why the steering columns and that piece right there is a different color. Now I used the British green, the TS9 for that, is because when I was looking through historical photos and things like that, not only on the B-17s, the B-25s, and all the rest of them, they seemed to be, for the most part, one standard color and not the same color as the interior of the plane. So I went with that because a lot of pictures are black and white for the most part, but the color photos that I could find for the most part were that color. So that's what I went with. So that's why you're seeing that color and not the interior color of the plane. So if you're wondering why that is, that's why. Whether I'm right or not, I don't know. I'm sure other people will correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I went with for that. Now, the interior color of the plane, I used PS56, which is a mustard yellow. And then once I had that in, I used my 502 Optilong, which is a Starship Filth. It seems to be a great color. It's like a mixture of everything. And then I made that slurry that I usually do, that soup, and then I dirtied the whole interior, which turned it almost to that interior green color. Now the camera's picking up maybe mostly yellow, but in person it has that same interior green color, and as you can see, it dirtied it up really nicely. And then for the paint chipping effect, the good old Sharpie. That's what I use. And it did the paint chipping effect that I like. And then I use that there with a little bit of water, just barely damp, to give it that dirty effect around the silver. And that's the end result, because it mixes with the oil, right? Just a little bit, and it gives that dirty effect. If you're wondering about these pieces right here, that's scratch built. Does not come with the kit. Now, I know a lot of people out there are going to say, you know, why are you going to all this detail if you're never going to see it, things like that. In my opinion, a lot of people will see it, especially with the canopy on here, being the scale that it is, when you're looking down into the model, it will give you that illusion of realism. You will see it. For the most part, you will see it. Plus, I like to put it in there. I want it in there. So, anyway. So these are the colors that I use. Obviously, I use that as the primer. I find that's just a good primer to use. And then the olive drab, obviously, I used for that part of the steering column, and then where the throttles and stuff go, that's where I use the British green. So I'm very happy with the way this has turned out. Not quite done with it. As I said, more detail has to go in. I'm just trying to get it historically accurate. I'm trying to get in as close as I can to show you the detail without losing focus here. Now you're wondering what's with the paper towel. I think someone asked me not too long ago, what's with the paper towel? It's actually for focusing and showing detail. For some reason, the blue paper towel and focusing, it actually helps the camera not to lose focus. And it actually shows more detail. It's something to do with that. I found it's the best way to not lose focus and to show maximum detail. Because if I actually had this on a black surface, it would actually lose the detail in the camera, if that makes sense. So that answers that question. So there we go. That is the start, I would say, or most 90% of the detail with the cockpit. Now, if you go back to my videos in the past where I started the B25 build, I'm probably not going to continue that one. I might even just take those videos off, because when I first started that build, that was my first B25 model, and I was just experimenting with paint chipping and things like that, and colors. I don't like that. In comparison to that, to this, yeah, I'm not really happy with the way that turned out and looked. I think my skills have kind of changed since then, since starting that, and I was trying different techniques with that. So I'm really happy with the way this is turning out. So there we go, folks. It's just talking about the cockpit here today. So again, we'll figure out what goes where and where goes what and all the rest of that. So thanks so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I look forward to your comments. And stay tuned for part 6. We're going to start working on the inside of the fuselage, and then obviously the bombardier section. Then we're going to close it up and start working on some major detail on the outside, guys. So thanks so much, guys.